Hey, Jeff here from X Factor Tackle, and today I just want to talk about bobber stops, primarily rubber bobber stops, but we'll talk about bobber stops in general. So let's get into it. Um, this in my hand is a what we call a cylinder style bobber stop. You may also be familiar with this style. It's like an oval style. Now, the first point I want to make, I'm going to make several points, but the first point I want to make is that these, though, if we put them side by side, you can see that one is clearly bigger. The oval style is clearly bigger. These are effectively the same exact size, okay? Now, what I mean by they're the same size is that the inner diameter is exactly the same because the wire that they're on is the same. Now, real quick, without going into too much detail, the way that these are made is rubber is injected over this wire, okay? And so the size of the wire dictates the inner diameter of the bobber stop. In other words, whatever size the line is, whatever size the wire is rather, is what size it is on the inside of that bobber stop, meaning because the wire is the same, this one is called a larger bobber stop. Like if you were looking in a catalog or on a website or something like that, you know, they might list this one as like a 12 to 16 pound test or whatever, and this one would be like 4 to 10 or whatever the case may be. When in reality, they're exactly the same on the inside. Now, here's the point. The point is this one just has more material. Both of them are made in factories by people who don't even know what the product is. I don't mean to say that like derogatory, but it's just a fact. They don't use the product, and they're just putting sizes out there, and companies haven't really thought about it. I've talked about this before, but I think it's long overdue to double back over. In any case, if you are pondering what size you need and you go to our website, you'll notice we just have one size listed. I think it just says small, and that's what they are. So what size does this fit? Well, it fits, it works pretty well with this. This is 6 pound test. You can see it works pretty dang well. So I would say 6 pound test on up. Using 4 pound test and smaller, I don't know why you go smaller than 4 pound test, but if you're using 4 pound test and smaller, it'll hold a little bit, but you'll be disappointed. Now, the only reason you would do that is if you're seeking to peg a soft bead or an egg cluster or something like that. It's just not going to hold. And if I use 4 pound test, which is rare these days, but if I use 4 pound test, I don't use this at all. I've got a separate video on how to rig baits, and that'll help you with lighter line. The next thing I want to say is that these rubber stops work well on monofilament as well as braided line. And so essentially this will replace these. I never really liked these personally. I'm not going to get into all of that. I never really liked them, but they replace them, and it works really, really well. So the last point I want to make is that the reason we're using this cylinder style over the oval style is simply that the oval style, for one thing, doesn't hold on 6 pound test. It doesn't work at all, even though they're the same inner diameter. Because of the design, so it's long and slender, this has more surface area on the line, and more surface area gives it more friction. More friction makes it harder for the bait, harder for the bobber stop to move up and down, meaning it stays put far better than this style and far better than this style. So that's the reason. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them down below. You can call us, you can email us, message us, whatever works for you. Thanks for watching.